Learning is a very interesting process. It really happens in two ways. It happens through experience and it happens through observation. I recommend the observation. One of the things that I've had to learn, thank you, dear good. One of the things that I've had to learn through all of this is to appreciate how much you appreciate me. That is a very difficult lesson to learn, particularly for somebody who's spent most of his life about you. Now, I think the key issue in dealing with learning is my favorite expression, stay where your feet are, because you never know from minute to the other where it's going to go. Spirituality does not have a point. It has a purpose. The purpose is to help me fulfill who I am. And to do that by interacting with you guys and gals to the best of my ability, giving who I am. If it had a point, it would be trying to make me like you or like someone else. Spirituality in general does not have a point. It has a purpose. It's there to give us a chance to discover us in whatever way we've chosen to bring with us whatever tools we may need to have to use to do that learning, and to keep us just this side of giving up. Because then the point's kind of lost, you know what I mean? Now, a lot of people think that, well, gee, he's a psychic medium, he talks to these people all the time, this should be nothing for him. The idea of dying. And to be honest with you, it isn't anything for me, really. I don't have any opinion about it or feeling about it one way or another. I'm not sure it will happen. I'm not sure it won't. I'm sure if it does happen, it may not be this way. The crosswalk alone should show you that. But what I have learned is that the biggest mistake I can make is to break faith with me. My job is to fall in love with me. To find out who I am, learn to trust that, feel good about it enough to share it with you, hoping you're smart enough to flee if it doesn't work for you. The more that I own who I am and the more I trust who I am, the more willing I am to share with you and the more risk I'm willing to take in terms of how far I go with teaching. Because in creation, you don't give away anything without getting. That includes aggravation, by the way. But the whole idea is, what am I learning? Not what are you learning. Everybody who's born has their own purpose. You're never not going to be who you are. If I have a problem with you, my job is to go elsewhere, not to try to change you. Because you have a right to be who you are, and you have a right to get help being who you are without criticism. And I have a right to be who I am. And honoring my right is best served by honoring yours. So I'm going to suggest you take an example from what I just said and get off your case. What good will it do you to discover how competent you are and not like you? How much help will it be to you to be relying on me to approve of you, and I missed that stop, and you're still there, and I just missed it? Because my job is not to go looking for you. If I'm a teacher, your job is to come looking for me. Because I can't know what's best for you, but you can. Now, that doesn't mean you go to your head and it says, look, he's right for you here and right for you there and not right for you there, and he's an ass over there. And it means, how do you feel with me? What do you feel with what I'm sharing with you? How honest does it feel? Is it coming from my experience or my opinion? You all know the old story about opinions. And that goes for your own opinions of you. How often have people said things to you that contradicted what you think about you? Where they gave you a compliment and you didn't really want to take it. Guess who was right? Them. And we have to learn that. Now, we are raised in a world of people who are here to change things about themselves. Learn how to do things differently. And to let go of behavior that doesn't serve them well. I call them change growth. They work on structure, planning, logic, self-criticism, self-discipline, goal setting, and disaster. You don't. You work on self-discovery, self-acceptance, gut feelings, motivation, and integrity. Who knew? Except their way doesn't feel right, so therefore you know you're wrong. But think about that for a minute. Their energy and behavior doesn't suit you, so you know that you're wrong. Is that craziness or what? You're the one that's born to be you, not them. You're the one that's here to take the risk of being yourself. If they're here taking the risk of being themselves and you don't agree with them, all that says is that you don't agree with them. And that maybe you need to talk to somebody else in that area. There's nobody in this room that hasn't felt really wrong from time to time. Have you ever turned out to be wrong? Usually not. I mean for you. Because you're the best judge of what's right for you. So then why is religion so popular? Why does it carry so much weight? Because it relieves you of the burden of taking the risk of being you. It comes along and says, give me your soul and I'll straighten you out. Now, for some people that's certainly right. For change growth people, that's certainly an appropriate approach. Because they come here not knowing what's right. They know something's wrong. They've brought with them the energy to draw to them the circumstances and events that will help them see what's wrong, and hopefully, if they're willing, work it through. Contrary to what your parents and the church may have told you, there's nothing wrong with you. You're somebody who's right to be who you are, learning how to use that. So you're born into a world of a different process. They, the 85%, we're not talking a lightweight group. The 85% are here to figure out what they need to change to get along, to be liked, to be successful. You're here to take the risk of being you, to help other people learn that there are other ways of doing things, and to show people new ways to a spiritual path. And here you thought you were the loser. The only time most of you have really felt wrong is when you were following your own direction, your own judgments of you. When you've just gone out and gotten busy and done stuff, you've never felt wrong. Because you weren't. It's why every time I think I want to follow somebody else's direction, and I get started and I can't do it, I don't do the writing, I don't do this, I don't do that, I have to stop and say, maybe it's the wrong direction, do you think? Because I follow directions in other areas of my life. I wouldn't be sober 46 years if I were unwilling to take direction when it's appropriate. I wouldn't be alive. Because I am contrary to everything that they think is right. Gay, alcoholic, psychic. We could go on, but you don't need all. You don't need all the details. Trust me. But I do. Maybe when I get home. But because you see, if you can't trust you, there's no place safe. The only place safe in the world is you. And every time you compare yourself to somebody else, you're putting yourself down. Because they aren't who you are. And the things they do are not necessarily right things for you to do. And if you do the things that are right for you, you're going to make a contribution. And we've also been raised with a bad sense of contribution. The idea that I should be born to help all of you is ridiculous. The idea that I can be born and live in a way that inspires all of you is another story. Because there's nothing in me about you that's more right than what's in you about you. If you can't stand Brussels sprouts, you're not wrong. Or you're French. Well, same thing. So we grow up thinking every time that we don't agree with somebody else, there's something wrong with us. Well, that's a heck of a note. Because I don't agree with most people in most areas. For me. I agree with a lot in me for me, and I'm willing to share that, and I'm willing to love you out of that, and I don't ask for your agreement, because God knows I can see how you live, so I don't ask for your agreement. I ask for your cooperation so that as I share with you, you share with me, and we have a sense of closeness. Relationships and partnerships don't seem to work out very well. Somebody say, you were looking at me when you said that. Yeah, I was. But see, the issue is that the more we separate ourselves from each other, the less chance we have of a good match. Because I can't have any better relationship with you than I can have with me. If I'm not compassionate and gentle with me, I'm going to be a jerk with you. And I think the more I learn to overlook what I don't like and embrace what I do, the more I grow. There are a lot of things I do in my life now that when I was younger, I was appalled at. And now, there are things that have taught me the most. You know, I discovered, you don't have to try this, but it's fun. Every time I act like a jerk, people admire me. Every time I act admirable, people are afraid of me and they run away. Because we're each here to be ourselves. And the stronger a person I am, the more important it is that I stay on my railroad track. Or I'm going to collide with your freight train. To no purpose. I'm delivering people and you're delivering widgets. I remember as a child getting totally excited about a birthday card. When's the last birthday card you got? Just saying. I used to look forward to being with people and doing things and playing and doing. And now I have to look up the phone number of the closest people to me in my life. Because the further I get away from one another, the further we get away from ourselves, And the further we get away from our learning, and the less safe we feel. Also, the lazier we become. I don't know how you feel about the last election, and I'm not interested. What I am interested in is that you did nothing about it. Nobody gets into those upholstered chairs in Sacramento and Washington without your help. So in a way, when you look at what's going on around you, you have to say, this is my fault. Now, if your validation's spiritual, what's going around doesn't matter. Nothing you see on the news has anything to do with you or your spiritual learning. The spiritual validation are not affected by events and circumstances. But people you love are. Your ability to express your feelings and to open up about what's going on inside is there for you to share and act on. So if we're looking to fall in love with us, where do we start? Not with them, by the way, but with you. If you made a list of everything you think is wrong with you and gave it a week and went back and read it, none of it would seem valid. Because it isn't. But if you made a list of everything you think is right with you, at the end of that month, the list would make sense. How many, and this is rhetorical, oh, you're in California, it means it doesn't require an answer. But how many of you have criticized you only to find out you were wrong? How many of you have tried to discipline yourself into a behavior and were unable to do it? How many of you are willing to sell yourself cheap and help people that didn't deserve it? No. You certainly do deserve it. And yet it's you're giving it away. I only want to help people who want to be helped. I don't want to have to work that hard. I want somebody that wakes up in the morning and says, I don't like the way I feel about me. I want to find a way to improve that. I want to meet the person that wakes up in the morning and says, I wonder who I can help today. I wonder what I can do today that would be fun. Better than that, if I said to you, think of one thing that's really fun for you. How long have you lived in there? it took me forever to find out that the thing I love to do is what I do. Readings, mediumship, counseling, risk-taking, looking like a jerk now. Just not being one. Why am I here today? I had a couple of reasons for skipping it. Because I can't break faith with you. I made you a promise. Whether you came for a reading or whether you came for a lecture or what you came from, I made you a promise that I would never abandon you. That I would never, through my own fault, not be there for you. That's why I'm here. And that makes me feel good about me. I had the wonderful experience of saying to somebody, I will never lie to you, and they looked at me after 30 years of seeing me and said, you never have. Those are the things that make me feel safe. Those are the things that make me happy. Those are the things that allow me to get up in the morning with enthusiasm. I think it's horrible that somebody will get up, look in the mirror and say, oh God, you look awful. Why? You don't look awful. Go take a picture of you in high school that was taken in high school. No going back and taking a selfie. And when you look at that picture, see if any of your self-judgment of the time is accurate or was accurate. I look at the picture of me in my high school graduation with that silly hat, and I think back on my view of me at the time, and it's horrifying. I look back at my 8th grade picture. How could I be that mean and that nasty and that betraying of such a cute kid? Well, it's never too late to look back and bring that knowledge forward. Not even religion tells you you've come here to see how bad you are. Well, not outright. You come here to see what you can do with the person you are. How you can grow her or him. How you can enjoy you. How you can have a good time with you. What's pleasurable for you. Because when you indulge yourself in those things, you get excited and you expand your sense of you, and it becomes, oh wow. You know, sometimes I'll give a reading and all I'll do is say, I want you to write this down. For those of you that were born before 1950 and can still write. And I will reel off a list of qualities. And then I'll say, which of those is wrong? None. Because I wouldn't lie to you there either. So if none of those are wrong, what are you doing beating yourself up? I mean, nobody comes in and sits in my office and can have done anything I haven't. With 3 exceptions, anything. I clean up all right. But anything. And if I were in self-judgment, would I A, be there to help you learn from my experience, and B, could I be as understanding of your situation as I am so that I can actually be helpful? No, of course not. Nobody has ever come into my office and have something come up in a reading that made me judge them. Being psychic, I know why it happened. I know how it developed. I know how it came together. I get it. That isn't the point. The question is, do you want to repeat it? Oh, no. Well, I think you've already outgrown it. See, it's not about being right. It's about being happy. This idea that pain equals growth is bullshit. Pain is an indication that you're not growing. Pain is an indication you're doing something that doesn't suit who you are. Unless it's somebody else's spouse, you don't get self-critical in the middle of orgasm. When you're doing something that works for you, you don't have criticism. That's the point at which the church says that's bad, and you say, take a hike. I'll get permission later. Think of any mistake you can make in growing, including the 3 that I missed. Deity has done them all. That spirit to which you reach for reinforcement and support and encouragement has done everything you could have done, or it couldn't have been there for you to do. And Deity doesn't care, because Deity knows it's about learning. It's not about knowing. I mean, I got on a bus, subway, and there was a young kid there that was really distraught, really upset. And I asked him what the problem was, and he said, "This is my first day in a new job, and I really screwed up the alarm system." You identify with that kind of feeling? And I said to him, I have a surprise for you. I don't know you, and I don't know the company for which you work. But I will guarantee you that they didn't hire you because you could do the job. They hired you because they knew you could learn to do it. Because how could you know how to do the job if you didn't work there? They just felt, yeah, here's somebody who's young and eager and who has demonstrated in previous jobs that he or she can step up to the plate and learn to do things, and so we'll hire you. And he was shocked. And I said, to prove it, because you'll talk yourself out of believing this, first thing tomorrow morning, go up to your boss and say, thank you for being so understanding of my learning. He'll never do that again. He'll never sell himself out again. Now, are there jerks out there? Okay. One tried to get in here, but the Christians got him first. But so let's talk about religion for a minute. Why not? There's nothing else interesting. People find a lot to criticize in religion. I would imagine you do as well. And why do you think there's so much for you to criticize in religion? It's not your tool. It's not a tool from which you can learn. So spirituality, being fair, says we'll make this abhorrent to you so that you don't waste time with it. And you've done nothing but waste time with it since. Because for change growth people, religion is very important. It helps them crystallize and identify their issues. It gives them steps and techniques and directions by which to fix those and redirect them. It gives them, a support system to which they can donate money to help other people in their area. And thank you, by the way, for your generosity. It's made it possible for me to go on. It truly has. It was also the hardest learning I had, was to believe anyone would love me that much or do that for me. So thank you for that learning. But to criticize another person's learning experience because it isn't yours is unreasonable and unfair. When that actress went on about Scientology, as she talked, I could find areas and people for whom what she was saying would be very helpful. I also heard her say things they were told to do and did because they were in that group. They could benefit us if we would do it without that kind of force. So while it may not be one of our tools, it doesn't mean we couldn't use it to advantage. So let's talk about love for a minute. Love is not a feeling. Love is an experience. It's what you feel when you're in the presence of somebody you can trust. It's what you feel when you see people who respond to you the way you would like to. And when you're with them, you can just sit there. There are some people in the back of the room that I've had the experience of just sitting around for half and three-quarters of an hour and do nothing but just be there and feel warm and comfortable and safe, and from time to time come up with something to talk about. But it wasn't about having something to talk about, it was having something to experience. I think in going on, two things would be helpful. One is that you let go of criticism and try appreciation. Don't criticize what somebody else is doing, appreciate why they may have to do it. And the second thing is love them for showing you a different way so you wouldn't make the same mistake. There's more to be learned by mistakes people avoid than by those through which they go. And there's more to be learned by the mistakes through which I go than by those I hear about and avoid. There is no room for criticism in spiritual growth. There is only room for appreciation, experience, and gratitude. If somebody compliments you and you put it down, you've slapped them in the face. If somebody says to you, "Oh, I really like that hat," and you say, "Oh, this thing I got," you've just slapped them in the face. If I really want to know what you think of you, I look for your criticisms because those are the areas you can't see clearly, or you wouldn't be critical. You know, in Alcoholics Anonymous, of which of course I've heard, being an anonymous program. It's a process of one person who has made a mistake helping another person who still makes that mistake. And the reason they can do that is having made the mistake, they understand the why and the wherefore so that the person they're talking to doesn't feel judged, but feels understood. I don't know why you waste your time criticizing anything anyway, and nothing changes. You can change. You can change your approach to it or your view of it. But the event isn't going to change. So see what somebody else sees in it, appreciate what they see in it, and then go and appreciate what you appreciate. Because those are the things that are critical. This is a you life. This is not a me life or her life or him life or them life. This is a you life. And the only one qualified to judge it is you. Even if you married the mistake. So let's say you wake up to the fact that your marriage isn't all you'd hoped it would be. Because I'd like to send you away with something you can use. First of all, write down what you're calling a mistake. The second thing, write down what they seem to have learned from it. And what they could learn from it if they were willing. I don't know how many people have come to me and said, oh, he said this and he said that and they did that and they did that and he did that. And I'd say, well, what did you say to him? Oh, nothing. All right, why? I was afraid. That, by the way, is a legitimate answer, but not for the reason you think it is. And I'll say, what do you mean you were afraid? Well, I was afraid he'd do something. I'd say, it seems to me like he's already done it. And you failed to correct it. It seems to me you're more afraid that he's right than that he's wrong. So when those things happen, go to the mirror, which should be your best friend, and say, hey babe, or if you're a feminist, hey. This isn't about criticism. Why don't we look for something positive in this? And before you're finished, you will be talking about something positive. Nothing in life was created to be negative. We turn it into negativity through our attitude toward it and our use of it. And you deserve better. And I would hope that the better you deserve, you found in me. And I hope you find that in you as you help me find it in me. Thank you.